Shalom, friends. This is Daniel, and this is another episode of My View as a Jew. It's been quite a while since you've seen any fresh recordings, and that's because we have been on an extended ministry trip. We just returned to Israel several days ago, and we're still quite tired, but we had an incredible ministry trip. Which included visiting Florida, actually several times in Florida, also Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, California, and also on the East Coast, that included Virginia, a wonderful, wonderful congregation that we were at in Virginia. And also an incredible week in Bogota, Colombia, in South America. And that's kind of what I want to concentrate a little bit on today. Really what I want to focus on is we all know that Messianic Jews are not welcome by the Jewish community, right? I mean, it's just sort of a sad fact that the overwhelming majority of the traditional Jewish community believes that if a Jewish person like myself accepts Yeshua as Messiah or Jesus as Messiah, that I'm no longer a Jew. That somehow or other, the moment that I invited Jesus or Yeshua to occupy my heart, I stopped being a Jew and I somehow transformed into becoming a, quote, Christian. Well, I don't really know how that's possible, but that's what they believe, and that's what they've been taught, and it's really a shame that for hundreds and hundreds of years, the Jewish people have simply been misguided in a couple of things. Recognizing who their true Messiah is, and understanding that a Jewish person who accepts their Jewish Messiah, my Jewish Messiah, doesn't stop being a Jew. Now, this may be tough for some of you to accept, but I think that there bears some responsibility on the part of Christians and Christianity for taking the Jewishness of who Yeshua, Jesus, really is and making him into something and somebody that was not really who he was and is. And I think if you're a true believer and you are understanding the Jewish roots correctly from our perspective, I think you recognize that Christianity does bear some responsibility in that regard. But let's turn our attention to relations between the Jewish community and the Messianic community. As you probably know, you probably haven't seen any Messianic community or kehillah or congregation that has an ongoing relationship with the local Jewish community. It just doesn't exist. Jews typically don't have any interest in having a relationship with Messianic Jews. And a lot of that has to do with their misconception about who Messianic Jews are. But be that as it may, there really isn't any community that we're aware of where the typical, stereotypical, if you will, normative Jewish community and Jewish leadership has an ongoing, respectful relationship with the local Messianic congregation. Well, all of that changed when we visited Colombia, South America. And before I get to that, let me just share with you what I hope you already know, and if you don't, maybe now you will. Each of us has our own unique calling as individuals and as a people. The Jews have their calling, and the Gentiles have their calling. What's the calling of the Jews? The calling of the Jews is to be a light to the nations. What's the calling of the Gentiles? The calling of the Gentiles is to provoke the Jews to zealousness, not jealousy. Many people have used the term jealousy, but it's really zealousness. And what does that mean? That means that the Jews will be provoked to be zealous for whom they are supposed to be in God's eyes, to fulfill their calling, to live a lifestyle which is true to what God called them to do and to be a light to the nations. Now, typically speaking, Gentiles have kind of gone down their own path and have sort of separated themselves from anything to do with being Jewish. And that's really a shame, because there's wonderful richness in the roots of the Christian faith that most Gentiles are simply not aware of and don't have interest in. It's really a shame. Excuse me. So today I want to at least remind you that there is a specific reason why the calling of the Gentiles is so important. Why? Because when a Gentile provokes the Jews to zealousness, guess what? The Jews can become what they're called to be, which is a light to the nations, and they can then influence other Gentiles to understand the Jewishness of the faith. And we all know that when enough Jews in Israel get down on their knees and cry out, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, which is, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, guess who's going to show up? Right, Yeshua, Jesus. But let's talk for a moment about the relationship, or lack thereof, between the traditional Jewish community and the Messianics. We thought that there was no such place anywhere in the world until we visited Kehilat Yovel, which is a Gentile Messianic Kehilah, or congregation, in Bogota, Colombia. And Bogota is not any small hick town. Bogota is a city of 10 million people. It's huge. We were quite surprised. But here's what I'm talking about. This congregation so loves the Jewish people and so recognizes the significance and the richness and importance of Torah and living a Jewish lifestyle, which is exactly what all the first believers did in the days of Yeshua. Need I remind you? If I have to, then take another look, because that's exactly what the first believers did when Yeshua had his ministry and walked on this earth. They did everything the Jews did, with the much added bonus of recognizing that Yeshua is indeed Hashem's son, God's son, HaMashiach, the Messiah. So this community in Bogota has adopted a very Jewish way of observance. They have a full Torah service. And I don't mean just bringing out a Torah and laying it down on the bima. They actually take it out, read from it, call up the traditional number of aliyahs. They dance, they sing, they praise, they cherish the Torah. They don't worship it. So don't mistake what I'm talking about as legalism and worshiping Torah. They honor it, they respect it, and they love it. They don't worship it. They worship God, and they love and believe in Yeshua. But they're Gentiles. Now, there might be some who have some Jewish roots, but this is, for all intents and purposes, a Gentile Messianic community. Now, over the years, they have been able to do something which no other Messianic community has been able to do that I'm aware of. They have actually gotten the attention of the local Jewish leadership. In fact, not just gotten the attention, but they actually have a loving, respectful relationship with the local Jewish community in Bogota. I've never seen anything like this before. And to be honest with you, I believe that this is a path which Gentile populated Messianic congregations have a calling to. In other words, if you're in a Messianic community, wherever you live, does your Kehillah have a relationship with the local Jewish community? Probably not the liberal reforms or the Reconstructionists, but maybe conservative, maybe even Orthodox. Let them know how much you love things that are Jewish. Let them know how much you love Torah. Let them know how much you love Shabbat and honor the feasts. Don't try to convert them. That's not the point. The first, most important step is to let them know and show them by example of how you love Shabbat, love the Torah, love the feast, and recognize that the Jewish people are still God's chosen people. Jeremiah 31 confirms that the new covenant includes the Jewish people. These are the kind of things that this congregation in Bogota has done. And guess what? They have established a wonderful relationship with the local Orthodox Jewish community in Bogota. I kid you not. Now, I'm not going to say a whole lot more at this point other than to just remind you once again that the calling of the Gentiles is to provoke the Jews to zealousness. And when Gentiles provoke the Jews to zealousness, in other words, do what God has called them to do, they can then become a light to the nations. And so I don't want to continue to just harp on this one point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to conclude by showing you something which I never thought I would ever see. What is it? The head Sephardic rabbi of Bogota, Colombia, came to this conference that we were just at in Bogota, Colombia. A Messianic conference. He knows that everyone in there is Messianic. But nonetheless, because of this congregation's love for Israel, love for the Torah, love for the feasts, love for Shabbat, without attempting to convert, just acknowledging how much they love things that are Jewish, which is exactly what Yeshua taught everyone to do, this local Jewish community, headed by Rabbi Goldschmidt, not only has a relationship with this Messianic congregation, he actually came to the conference that we were attending, and he was presented a gift by Rabbi Yitzhak Shapira, the author of Return of the Kosher Pig, and I'm just going to simply play the clip for you and show you what can happen when Messianics act in a way which is loving and respectful of things that are Jewish. Take a look at this.
I want to say one word to the beloved Rabbi Goldschmidt and to the entire Jewish community. Last year you were here.
El año pasado estuviste aquí
And somebody asked you a question that festered my mind for a full year.
y alguien te hizo una pregunta que quedó en mi mente por más de un año.
He asked you,
Él te preguntó,
when will you recognize this Messiah?
¿cuándo vas a reconocer a nuestro Mesías?
And it's bothered me.
Y esto me molestó
I
un
went
tiempo.
straight from Colombia to Israel,
Y que este hombre colombiano
and
con
I
esta
thought
pregunta,
about this relationship
y entonces pensé acerca de
coming of
nuestras
the
relaciones del Mesías,
and the coming of the Mashiach is based on Ahavat Chinam.
y que la venida del Mesías tiene que ver con Ahat
Because when
Hinai.
the temple is destroyed,
Cuando el templo fue destruido
it's destroyed because Sinat Chinam.
por el odio gratuito.
And I work with the Sofrim
Y he trabajado con
all
los
over
Sufrim
the world. One of these Sefer Torah is here in Colombia.
por todo el mundo, y una de estas Sefer Torahs las traje a Colombia,
And we built this relationship with them,
y hemos construido una relación con ellos,
and they have donated something very precious to us.
y ellos nos donaron algo muy precioso,
And today I want to present it to you
y hoy quiero presentárselo
because we do have the same chazon.
porque tenemos la misma
For coming
visión
of the Mashiach,
para que retorne
who
nuestro
return
Mesías,
who redeem our people.
para que venga el Mesías.
coming of Mashiach. אני מאמין באמונה שלמה בביאת המשיח. ואף על פי שיתמהמה יחכה לו כל יום שיבוא. But it have to start with relationship.
Pero tienen que empezar con relaciones.
This is a very rare piece
Este es un pedazo
that we
muy
would like to dedicate to the entire Jewish community.
que le queremos dedicar a toda la comunidad judía.
From the book of Isaiah,
Del libro de Isaías.
it's about 250 years old.
Es antiguo, tiene 250 años.
It's the only fragment that also survived in the Holocaust.
Es el único fragmento que sobrevivió al holocausto.
The full thing was burned,
Todo fue quemado
and it is from Isaiah 22.
y es de Isaías 22.
It says there
Y dice ahí
that there is a man named Eliakim,
que hay un hombre llamado Eliakim
and it's mean God will raise. And he's the one
y es una persona que levantó el
that
Señor
will carry the key of the house of David.
y que llevará en su corazón la llave de la casa de David.
So it starts with a relationship.
Entonces empezó con una
If we want
relación.
to see Mashiach come,
Si queremos que venga el
it
Mesías,
starts with humility,
empieza con humildad.
because he also had to wear the robe of Joseph,
Porque
according
también
to the
tiene que
text.
utilizar el atuendo de José.
So I want to issue to all of you
Entonces quiero darles a todos ustedes
my sincere word. May God make us like Joseph,
que el Señor nos haga en realidad como
so
Joseph,
that we can see
para que
David
podamos ver a David otra
returning.
vez eternamente.
We bless you today with this gift,
Los bendecimos con este regalo hoy.
and this not from me.
No es
I
mío,
want you to know it's not from me.
no es de parte mía.
If you are from Italy, stand up.
Si eres de Italia, por favor, ponte de pie.
If you are from India, stand up.
Si eres de India, ponte de
If
pie.
you are from Africa, stand up.
Si eres de África,
If
ponte
you
de
are
pie.
from United States, stand up.
Si eres de los Estados Unidos, ponte de
If
pie.
you are from any other country, Dominican
Si
Republic,
eres de otros
stand up.
países, por favor, ponte de pie.
This is my students,
Estos son mis estudiantes.
and we want to tell you,
Y queremos decirte,
we share the same vision.
tenemos la misma
We will
visión.
fight for you,
Vamos a pelear por
just as
ustedes,
Joseph fought for his brother.
como Joseph peleó por sus
And
hermanos.
we honor you today
Y te honramos hoy
with this peace.
con este pedazo.
May it remind us
Que nos,
that
que nos
our
haga recordar
relationship
que nuestras relaciones
lifted up. It starts with the humility
empieza con humildad.
of Joseph,
La humildad de
so that
Joseph.
we will see Mashiach ben David.
Para que podamos ver la venida
We
del
bless you,
Mesías.
Rabbi. Thank you. God bless the Jewish community in Colombia. We
Que Dios
bless,
bendiga a la comunidad judía en Colombia.
and you have many here
Y tienes aquí
who share
muchos
the chazon with the Jewish
que
community.
tenemos la misma visión con el pueblo
God
de Israel.
bless the Jewish community in Colombia.
Bendiga a la comunidad judía en
Od
Colombia.
Avinu Chai, Am Israel Chai. Baruch Hashem. Please help the Rabbi to carry it to them. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all of you.
Quiero destacar
I want to say something.
que no usamos muy a menudo
We don't
a
use usually
la escritura de Torah para escribir de profetas.
the
Esto es
writing
del
of the
profeta
Torah
Isaías,
to talk about
y esto
prophets.
tiene la letra de Sofer, la letra de escriba,
And these
que
are the
tiene
letters of Sofer.
muchísimos detalles, así que es realmente muy
And has
apreciado,
many
muy
details
además del contenido, la
because of the
presentación,
context and
the
the presentation.
the caligrafía. It's
The
really
writing.
very impressive. Thank you
Muy
very
impressive.
much in name of my Kehillah.
Well, was I kidding? You saw it with your own eyes. I have never seen an Orthodox rabbi come to a Messianic event, shake the hand of a Messianic rabbi, and do so with love and respect, mutual love and respect, because you could see between the both of them the love and respect. Yes, there is a difference in how Messiah is viewed, but I think the day will come when one of them will look the other in the eye and say, I told you so. I told you so. Until then, they have established something that is unique in all the world, a loving, respectful relationship. So get your zealousness up and going if you're a Gentile, and help call the Jews to zealousness so they can fulfill their calling to be a light to the nations. Well, that's it for now. I pray that if this message, along with any others that we have provided for you, touches your heart, that you'll please consider going to our website, www.blessedisraelnetwork.com, and partnering with us on a one-time basis or an ongoing basis. May you be blessed. Shalom for now.